All right, so that's going. We don't have any sound coming over anything right now. I'm not noticing any feedback. So And we are live.
Awesome. Welcome back to another Friday where we're going to dive in and talk real estate investing with the team. This is going to be fun. It's actually going to be more fun than last week because last week, as I recall, I brought the heat, I brought the knowledge, and Snyder was on vacation and he still got all the kudos. So this is going to be better this week. We can bring the heat together, and we can. I need the kudos. Like my ego is so fragile that I think I do. What do you think, Mike?
Rob, you did a great job last week, even though I wasn't here. So nice job.
Absolutely awesome. We are going to dive in just a minute and kick this thing off. For those of you guys that are just joining us for the first time and may not know what we're doing here, we are teaching the team here at FreedomSoft to invest in real estate. That's our goal. That's our objective. And you guys get to sit in and listen in. I believe, and if you have seen any of my comments on Facebook lately, I believe that financial education is a missing art in America, in the world, frankly. And I think that we need to do something to fix it. And so this is one little step in an effort to fix that. And, side note, I just saw that now loan programs are going to be made easier for people to qualify to buy houses when student debt in the past was preventing them from getting loans. So as I see this, that's a great plan, right? Somebody that can't qualify for new debt because of previous debt strapping them down and creating financial burden, we're going to make that easier for them to get new debt because that's going to work well. Unfreaking believable.
Yeah, we don't know how this ends.
We don't know how this ends at all. So we are going to dive into this and have some fun and do some financial education. We're going to focus this on real estate, and today's topic, we're going to talk about the blueprint that we teach all of our FreedomSoft members and our FreedomSoft family of when your feet hit the floor every day, what do you do? When your feet hit the floor, what has to go through your brain in order to be successful as a real estate investor? And, it's not cap rate, and it's not rehab contractors, and it's not all of these things that everybody wants to focus on. It's not comps, it's not this, and it's not that. There's four fundamental things that if you fill in the gaps on all the other stuff, four fundamental things, when your feet hit the floor and you're asking yourself these four simple questions every day, you will have a much higher likelihood of success as a real estate investor than if you don't do it. And I'm going to even say this. I didn't come up with the four. My man, Mike Snyder, my man, Mike Snyder right here is teaching our FreedomSoft users in our Kickstart program. And he's teaching them week after week after week after week for a year live. And he's the one that came up with, he's like, as I'm teaching this material, he said, I think I've boiled this down to four things that are fundamental based on, Mike's office. Your office has been 10 feet from my office for what? Long time.
Yep.
And so we've had a lot of discussions and we've done a lot of things, and it's just the framework of what are the common responses and replies and things we tell people to do when they run into a problem and they run into a struggle and they run into a brick wall or they're not sure what to do next. There's a handful of things that we often go to and tell people, have you thought about this? Have you done this? And these are the things that are the absolute key. So we're going to talk about those four things in a minute. What I want you guys to do is hit me in the chat. If you guys are on Facebook, or if you guys are on YouTube, or if you guys are wherever you're watching this stream live, would you guys just say hello and hit me in the chat? I already see some. I see Tom. I see Derek. I I see Henry. I see I'm buying Atlanta. I see, oh, look at that. I'm buying Atlanta says, what's up, Mike? What am I, chopped liver?
I like this.
Let's see, I'm buying Atlanta. What's up, Rob? Oh, I thought we were going to get a what's up, Rob. Oh. Guys, it's all right. It's all good. Kevin, what's up? Good to see you guys all here. Let's see, Byron. Cool, guys, we're gonna do this. Let's dive into the meat of this thing. So there are 4.
Yeah, and let me say something really quick, because there's a great quote that really goes around a lot of what we talk about around here. And it's from the late, great Jim Rohn, the business philosopher. And he said, some of you have heard this, but he said there are usually about a half dozen things that make 80% or more of the difference, right?
Yep.
So his point is, if you want to be good at tennis, you don't have to be good at 1,000 things. And you can pick anything. And real estate investing is no different. So if you want to be good at real estate investing, what are the handful of things that you need to get good at that make the majority of the difference? And so that's really in and around a lot of different conversations, kind of what birthed our playbook and the blueprint.
Absolutely.
So.
That's it. That's it. You don't have to be good at 1,000 things to be good at the thing you want to be good at. So thank you, Brent, for the what's up, Rob. I like that. I appreciate it. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Well, I'm going to give you the 4 things as we start. And we're going to come back and we're going to answer Derek's question, which is completely irrelevant. Rob, are you buying the crypto dip? So we're going to come back to that question at the end. We're going to focus on the topic at hand first, but you will get an answer for that. Okay. And I'm buying Atlanta. Thank you. What's up, Rob? LOL. I like it. I appreciate it. What's up? I'm buying Atlanta. Okay. So here's what it is. The 4 things. These are the things that when your feet hit the floor every day as a real estate investor, if that's your objective. I don't care if you want to be full-time active investor, or if you want to be part-time passive investor, or somewhere in the middle, right? I remember a time back in the late 90s. I was living in the first house that I ever bought for myself, and up in Broomfield, Colorado, and I was now a full-time real estate investor, and I had quit my job and I was doing this thing full-time, and I was like, I got to make money for my family, and how am I going to do it today? What am I going to do? And I remember my feet hitting the floor, and I remember over, days and weeks and months of time, my feet hit the floor at first, and I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure. And then I would do something and I would try it and that would fail, and I'd be like, oh, we're going to starve this week. Or then the next week I would try something and that would work, and I would be like, okay, we're on a path to actually get paid. And then I would figure this out. And what I came down to was a couple things. And it came down to this. It came down to imperfect action is better than sitting on your hands. Okay? Imperfect action is better than just sitting on your hands. And there's probably a better quote that actually says that, but what I want to make sure that you get is that don't try to perfect it today. Around here, we say done is the new perfect. Okay? That's something that I say all the time. Done is the new perfect. Now, I have a level of expectation around excellence, right? We can't be done if we haven't done the minimum necessary, but we're also not going to delay the action in order for perfection. So there's a balance in the middle. And what this comes down to is perfection. You may not know how to have the perfect seller conversation. You may not know exactly what to say. You may not know whether this leads list or this campaign is going to work. But you've got to take action either way. Get on the phone and talk to somebody. Take a leads list and do some marketing. See what happens. Test it. Rather than trying to figure out what's going to work before you do it and see if it works. Sometimes failure and saying that didn't work, why, is some of the best education you can ever get. Do it and see what happens. When you do it and you don't get the results that you want, don't give up, right? There's the root of the issue. Most people don't know, they do it, it doesn't produce the result they want, they give up. So taking you back to my story, feet hit the floor day after week after month, and I kept doing things, but I'm a very type A driven Enneagram 8 challenger personality. So I wasn't going to give up. I was going to figure it out. If I decided that I was going to do something, I was going to figure out how to do it. So I would do something, I would fail, I would adjust. I would do something, I would fail, I would adjust. And ultimately, it came down to these 4 things. Number one, who are you marketing to today? Because in the real estate investing world, we solve problems. People have a property or a personal problem, and a personal problem that's often related to the property. Sometimes not related to the property, but the property can solve their problem, okay? And sometimes it's a property problem. The property is distressed, the property is abandoned, the property whatever, and there's a personal situation that accentuates and highlights the property problem. So as real estate investors, we solve problems. And the reason I want to say this and the reason this is important is because you can often think to yourself, or it would be possible for somebody to ask you this question. And I get asked this question all the time. I used to, and now I preempt it. People would say, do you feel bad about taking advantage of somebody that's in a distressed situation? That's not what we do. That's not who we help. We're not taking advantage of anybody. If I make an offer to somebody and they accept it, it's because I framed the offer in such a way that it gets them what they want and I solve their problem. Whether I'm buying their property at a discount and getting them out of a headache, or whether I'm paying a higher price and putting it on terms and helping them accomplish whatever goal they're trying to accomplish, we solve problems and we help people. So number one thing is, who am I marketing to today? What list have I built? Okay, if you think about some of the trainings that we've done over the last couple of weeks, we ask this question all the time. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What result am I trying to accomplish? Do you want cash flow? Do you want a long-term cash flow investment? Do you want a short-term fix and flip? Okay, depending on what you want, you're going to potentially build your list slightly different. Mostly it's going to be built geographically different. Okay, geographically, cash flow, you're going to be in different zip codes and neighborhoods and areas than you will for a fix and flip. Okay, so geography starts the separation. And then, as we've talked about on previous trainings, you can go deeper into some of those differences to build your list. But who are you marketing to today? So you have to build a list of prospects. Okay, now I'm gonna use some FreedomSoft language, because a lot of you guys that are chiming in are FreedomSoft users. Many of you guys are not FreedomSoft users. In FreedomSoft, we have different channels that build our pipeline. Okay, there are lists, campaigns, and workspaces, and these are all permission controlled to build the thing that helps you accomplish this. Who are you marketing to today? So in FreedomSoft, you build your list, and you can use Lead Finder in FreedomSoft to build your list. You can use the website system and online ads and SEO to build your list. You can use Lead Swiper to build your list. You can import a list from another system. You can do all sorts of things to build your list. Your list is your bucket of prospects. Okay, so inside of a list, you have prospects. And those prospects are who you're going to market to today. So you're then going to do some marketing, and you're going to send out, you've built your list, you've said, don't want a short-term deal or do I want a long-term deal? Don't want to fix and flip or Do I want cash flow, right? A buy and hold. So you've targeted your geography, you've targeted your audience, you've built your list, and now you're going to send out some marketing to get a response. Okay, so from the list we go to the campaign. The campaign is the inbound lead. So we go from a prospect in our list to a lead in our campaign. Now what we have in FreedomSoft, right? Now we know how is this list performing to generate leads, and how are these leads performing into closed deals. We can actually track how the performance of our list is doing, the performance of our various campaigns. We may do a direct mail campaign, we might do a text campaign, we might do a cold call campaign, we might do all sorts of different campaigns to do marketing to get responses from the prospects on the list to be captured inside of the FreedomSoft campaign. Okay, this is how fundamentally it works. You ask the number one question: who am I marketing to today? Okay, so if your feet hit the floor and you're like, I got to make some money, I want to make some money, I want to do something, you ask that question: who am I marketing to today? And then you do what? You go build your list and you do some marketing, right? Question number one: who am I marketing to today? Here's what I want you guys to do. As you guys are out there in the social media world land and you're live with us, I want you to hit the comments or the chat, and I want you to let me know, is this making sense? Is it resonating? Is it helpful? Do you have questions? So hit us in the comments in the chat. Let's make this interactive. I'm here teaching my team. You guys get to sit up in like a fly on the wall, and we're actually going to make this available and open. So engage with us and talk with us. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Okay. So number two, the number two thing that is in the blueprint that we teach around here to be successful as a real estate investor is: who am I following up with today? Who are you following up with today? So you build your list, right? You build your list, you do your marketing, you capture inbound leads. You build your list, you do your marketing, you capture inbound leads. In a FreedomSoft campaign, you have all of your leads that have been captured by the built-in phone system, by the web form, however they've gotten into that campaign. They've responded to your marketing, they've called you, they've texted you, they filled out an online form, and your campaign is now populating with inbound leads. Okay, who are you following up with today? So we teach as part of our pipeline process to manage your leads to status. So when that lead comes into the campaign, that lead comes in as a new lead. Okay, it's a new lead. What happens next? Well, you need to get on the phone, you need to call that lead, you need to call them back, you need to engage with them, you need to get into a conversation, right? You need to get into a conversation with that lead, and ultimately you're hoping that that lead turns into an opportunity, into a deal, right? You're hoping to make a deal with the seller to solve their problem. And so you've got your big prospect list in FreedomSoft, then you've got your leads inside of a campaign, and you ask yourself this question: who am I following up with today? Well, in FreedomSoft, by managing your leads to status and just simply selecting the drop down on the lead status to follow up or cold follow up, we teach a separation between a warm follow up and a cold follow up, right? When that lead comes in, the first thing I want to have happen is a sales guy or gal to get on the phone and make an attempt to contact that seller, right? Make attempt to contact that person. Call them once. If they don't call, update the status to contact attempt 2. Next day, that'll trigger a task. Next day, the task will show up. You click it, you call them again, contact attempt 2. If they don't answer, or they don't have time, they do answer, update the status, contact attempt 3. That's going to trigger a task. It's going to drop it right onto your dashboard in FreedomSoft. You're going to log in the next day and you're going to click on it. You're going to call them again, contact attempt 3. Then you're going to get on the phone. If they answer, you're going to talk to them. If they don't answer, if you contact attempt 1, 2, 3, they never answer, cold follow-up. That's going to create a long-term drip sequence and follow-up sequence that's going to drip on this this prospect or this lead, the seller, for as long as you want them to drip. One of the automations and one of the things that we have inside of FreedomSoft is restart follow-up. So you can build out a 180-day sequence, which is already built out inside of FreedomSoft. So you select the cold follow-up sequence, and it's a 180-day sequence that automatically follows up at the end of the 180 days. On the 181st days, the automation triggers to restart follow-up. So you will never not follow up with your leads if you use this system, okay? Now, the other option is you actually did talk to somebody. There's somebody live on the other side of the line that you're able to get a hold of. You had the conversation. It's called warm follow-up. There is actually somebody there, but they're not ready today. You've made the offer. They're not ready today. So you trigger them into warm follow-up. Warm follow-up is the same thing, slightly different message, because cold follow-up is you never got a hold of anybody. Warm follow-up is you have actually talked to somebody, you know that it's the right person, and the messaging is slightly different. Same thing, 6 months, restart follow-up. All of the automation, make sure that you've heard this, right? The fortune is in the follow-up. 2/3 of the deals, 2/3 of the deals you close.
Share your stat, because it's a big deal.
2/3 of the deals that close, not only that I've seen as a real estate investor for over 20 years, but that we see with our customers and our users inside of FreedomSoft, 2/3 of the deals that close and get across the finish line because of follow-up. So if the only thing you're ever doing is marketing, lead capture, try to call them, forget about it, you might as well forget about it. Right? You might as well forget about being successful as a real estate investor. You might close a deal, you might make some money, you might do whatever. You're never going to take the business to where it should be, because the best laid human effort will never follow through. Right. You've got to use technology, because technology doesn't get tired. Technology doesn't say I'm going on vacation. Technology doesn't say it's the 4th of July, so I'll do it tomorrow. Technology doesn't, right? Technology just does what you tell it to do. Humans don't. We have the best laid intentions today, and then tomorrow we wake up and we're like, we're tired. I'm going to go skiing. I'm going to do something else, right? So who are you following up with today? Make sure that you're using technology to automate the follow-up, because it's absolutely key. That's the second step. That's the second question in the blueprint. So number one, when your feet hit the floor every single day to be a successful real estate investor, number one, who am I marketing to today? Number two, who am I following up with today? Number three is the scary one.
2 things before you move on, Rob.
Okay.
So Derek has a question about a list. I want to get to that. I think there's a really good analogy here when follow-up. So picture a towel with some water in it. If you don't do any follow-up and you're just active with outbound marketing, you can wring it a little bit and some water will come out, and the water are deals, right? Follow-up and organization allows you to wring that towel tighter. You can get more deals to fall out of the same leads. The reason that's important is because generating new leads always costs time, energy, and effort.
Yep.
Always. So when we can be more organized through managing the status and effective follow-up, we can wring more water or squeeze more deals out of the same number of leads,
yep,
which does 2 things in the business. Number one, it increases revenue, and you're not paying additional money to generate a new lead because you already have it.
That's right.
So it moves both sides of the balance sheet in the right direction.
Absolutely. 100%.
So, and then the second thing, Derek, back to a list. Rob, would you rather do a massive marketing list that takes weeks to process, or small daily ones?
I don't know what massive means. What I typically teach people, especially if they're a solopreneur and kind of just getting started, I teach people, if you're going to do, say, direct mail, send out 1,000 postcards. Because the response you're going to get is 1.5% to 2% kind of in today's market. There have been times and there have been certain lists, and then there have been certain geographies where I've seen as high as a 5, 8, 10% response rate to my direct mail. In today's market, traditional direct mail response rates are more in line with what we're seeing. 1.5% to 2%. 1 to 1.5%, again, depending on the price point of the market, the geography you're mailing into, what parameters you use to build the list. The better parameters you build up front, the better list you build up front, the higher the response rate, the more leads you'll capture, and the more follow-up will produce for you. Okay, so I always tell people, you know, at least 1,000 postcards if they're just getting started. If you have a team to feed and you've got a team living in the workspaces inside of FreedomSoft and they're waiting for leads to come in, two things. I never let a sales guy or an acquisitions guy or gal tell me I'm waiting for leads. If you're waiting for leads, you're not doing your job. Okay. So number one, as the business owner, it's my job to make sure that we're generating the leads, we're doing the marketing, the follow-up is set up, and we're capturing inbound leads that then get distributed out to the team on a round robin type basis. Okay, that's number one. Number two is we've built leads lists into the workspaces of all of our acquisitions folks. And so if they're waiting for the next new lead to pop in, they're not doing their job. Get on the phone, call back 100 leads from the last 90 days, the last 180 days, the last year. Get on the phone and do outbound prospecting, right? So that's kind of a fundamental, just how we operate the team side of it. But yeah, specifically that question, I will ramp it up as big as I think I need it to fill my team with enough new inbound prospects every single week, as well as give them enough time to do the follow-up appropriately and get on the phone and talk to people. So, okay, number three, the number three thing that you need to ask yourself when your feet hit the floor every single morning to be a successful real estate investor, this is part of our fundamental blueprint. The number three thing is, who am I talking to today? Okay, marketing, follow-up, phone. Who am I talking to? You've got to be talking to somebody. And I will tell you this, I see this all the time because we can kind of see the stats in our application. The number of phone calls, the number of the phone usage versus the text usage. And I'm not just talking about from a lead gen standpoint. I'm talking about from a follow-up standpoint. The phone usage voice versus the phone usage text is so out of balance. Everybody just wants to text and try to do a deal via text. Everybody's afraid to get on the phone. Guess what? Number one, the phone's not going to bite you. Number two, the seller is not in the same room with you, so they can't punch you. If you panic, hit the hang up button.
That's right.
Right? If you just lose it and panic, just hang up.
Hang up.
Just hang up. No harm, no foul.
If you call them back, you blame it on the cell connection.
That's right. Just hang up, compose yourself, eat a cheeseburger, then call them back, right? Mm-hmm. And say, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Right? But I'm serious. Like, just do that. I don't care if you got to hang up 8 times in a row. If you're just getting into this, just hang up and call them back. Can you hear me now? Yeah, I was going through a bad spot. Tunnel. Right. So
here's the reality.
Who am I talking to?
And I'm going to tell you a story on that, because I had a gal in coaching 1.5 years ago who was scared to death, and she just finally admitted it to me. Said, I'm too afraid to pick up the phone. And I was on a coaching call with her, and I was like, here's what you're going to do. You're going to hang up and get off of this call right now, and you were going to go call that lead back. And then I said, I want you to email me with how it goes, right? And you know how this plays out.
Yeah.
She goes, right, deep breath. Okay, I'm going to do it. So I got an email 20 minutes later. She goes, Mike, the first 30 minutes, I was paranoid. And she goes, then I completely calmed down, and we had a great conversation. So it just takes typically the first one.
Yep. And the first 30 seconds, right? The first 30 seconds, she was.
The first 30 to 60 seconds.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah. It's it. And it comes more natural for some people versus others. It's harder for others. So, My personality, I never hung up the phone. Like I never had to hang up the phone because I'm like, what's the worst they're going to do? They're going to say no, right? Other people's personalities, they're going to have butterflies. They're going to be nervous. They're going to stutter. Just hang up.
So this can go back to something you said earlier about we help people. We're in the business of helping people. If you feel like you got to go pick up the phone to try and sell somebody something,
That's right.
That makes you uneasy, switch your mindset.
Right.
You're not trying to sell them anything.
That's right.
You're calling somebody to see, first of all, if they have a problem that you could potentially help solve. And if they do, try and help them solve it.
Exactly.
You're not, yes, sales is a part of this, but just switch your mindset.
Right.
When you go to do your daily and your weekly consistent marketing, you're just trying to identify who can we help. That's it. Somebody out there has a problem.
Yep.
They're not raising their hand. We got to reach out to them to go see who we can help.
100%. That's it. So pick up the phone. The number 3 thing to be a successful real estate investor in our blueprint, ask yourself every day, who am I talking to today? And friends, let me just tell you this. If you're not talking to somebody today, you're not moving your business forward. It's stagnant today, right? You've got to, in order to be successful as a real estate investor, and I'm not just saying make money. Sometimes you can do the whole deal via text, right? And more power to you. Congrats. You got lucky. You're not going to be consistent, right? It's not going to work. So you might even make some money, but if you want to have success, pick up the phone and talk to people. So simple, okay? And you don't have to be afraid of it. You care less about the house and you care more about their problem. Do they have a problem? How can you solve it? Do they need cash? How can you get them cash? Are they tired of code violations that are costing them penalties and fees and fines from the city? How can you solve their problem? Right? Solve the problem. Okay, that's number 3. Who are you talking to today? Number 4. Number 4, and this is where the rubber meets the road. Number 1, number 2, and number 3, create number 4. You can do number 1, you can do number 2, and you can do number 3 for the next 100 years and never be successful as a real estate investor unless you do number 4. Number 4 is the pinnacle. It is the thing that makes you a successful real estate investor or not. And we're going to talk about it next week. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about it right now. Who are you making an offer to today? Who are you making an offer to today? The number 1 rule as a real estate investor is always make the offer. Always make the offer. Okay? Sometimes that's easier than other times. But this is why you always make the offer, because it never matters what the seller is asking. It matters what you can pay. Okay? So you can't be offended by making your own offer. You can't offend yourself by making your own offer, because what they're asking doesn't, like, there's no part of the formula when you're figuring out what your maximum allowable offer is and what you can pay. There's no part of the formula where you plug in seller's asking price. That's not part of the formula. Okay? Now, why is the seller selling, and what is the seller trying to accomplish, and what do they need to make this work? That's something that does matter. It comes into the conversation, and you as a smart, intelligent real estate investor are going to use that information to craft a solution. Okay? Sometimes your solution is all cash, as is, at a discount, close fast. Sometimes your solution is payments over time at a higher asking price with these type of terms. Okay? Cash or terms, right? Solve the problem. But the number 4 thing is, who are you making an offer to today? This is how simple it is, okay? Number 1, who are you marketing to today? Number 2, who are you following up with today? Number 3, who are you talking to today? And number 4, who are you making an offer to today? If you're not making offers, you're not making money. I have said that phrase for almost 20 years now, because I figured it out when my feet hit the floor as an early real estate investor a long, long time ago, saying, how do I feed my family? How do I build my wealth? How do I do deals? Whatever the question you're asking yourself is, how do I make rent? How do I buy a house? How do I pay off my credit cards? How do I buy a new car? How do I go on vacation? Right? And look, I'm saying a lot of the things that are like the consumer stuff, because the lesson I want people to get is we put effort into work. We work as humans. We work, right? We do something, and we get paid to do something. Okay, we make money because we do something. Okay, take the effort you put in and the money you get for putting into that effort and invest it into an asset that grows, and use assets to buy your luxuries. Okay, conversation we just had, right?
Like a day ago. Yep.
Like a day ago.
Mm-hmm.
Conversation that we literally had in this office a day ago. This is the stuff we talk about. Okay, use your effort and the work you do, and sometimes that work you do is as an active investor. Okay, maybe you're a house finder that's out there looking for deals, right? And you go find a deal and you sell it to an investor that wants a great cash flow rental to add to his portfolio, and you make some cash. Okay, then take that cash and don't just go blow it on a couch. Don't go blow it on bags to drop your GTI.
I still think that's a good option, but I
don't go blow it on a luxury item. Take that cash, build that cash reserve, invest in education, and start to put that money towards an investable effort. Okay, put your little dollars out there and let them make you more. Okay, most people don't do that. Most people work, save, then go buy some depreciating asset. How about work, save, buy something that will produce an income or equity, then take that and buy the luxury item? I'm telling you guys, when I figured that out, like, everything in my life changed. When I stopped doing the opposite and said, I will delay gratification for a period of time in order to accomplish my long-term goal, everything changed. It's key. Okay, so 4 things: who am I marketing to today? Who am I following up with today? Who am I talking to today? And who am I making an offer to today? Okay, all of those 4 things designed in order to get what you want. Get what you want. Okay, so let's take a look. Do we have any questions? We're 40 minutes in.
I got to point some out from Mr. Thinker. Just
yeah, I saw that up there, and that's why I went to the questions.
You were going to blow past it.
I saw that, and I was like, what?
No, because I know that you need that ego boost. You need the kudos. It's how you.
I take such a beating here at the office that this is refreshing.
Yeah, I'm telling you guys, honestly, last week Mike was on vacation, and Friday was just brilliant last week. Like, it was so relaxing.
It really ran
nice.
smooth, right?
Yeah, everything ran smooth. It was so nice.
That's right. Hey, so we have a couple. Kevin said, what is the best prospect in today's market?
There isn't a best prospect. So Kevin, that question, I understand the nature of the question, and I understand the competitive nature of the market and why you would ask the question. But let me just say this: there isn't a best prospect in today's market. There isn't a best prospect ever in any market. And the reason I'm going to say that is you're looking for the silver bullet. You're looking for the magic pill, and that never exists. I'll tell you, as a real estate investor doing this for over 20 years, going through, when I got into this business, in Denver. Denver's market was like appreciating at 14% a year. Like it was super competitive. There's no inventory. Sound familiar? Prices were skyrocketing. Everybody was complaining about not being able to get deals. I was brand new to the business. I learned information from people, and then I just had no reason not to believe them. I just believed that if they're telling me that makes logical sense, I should just go do the action, and I expected a result. And I got the result. And people kept saying, how are you doing that in this market? You know how I was doing it? I was actually doing it. I just took action. I just did it. So I want to go one step a little deeper on that prospect list. The same prospect list that always works today. Okay. It might take you a little bit more time to get the deal. It might take you a little bit more money to get the deal. It might take you a little bit more effort to find that seller that has a true problem, because a lot of times right now sellers can sell their property by listing it on the MLS, and they can get multiple overpriced cash offers or offers in days in many markets across the country. And yet there are a lot of sellers that they don't have the time for that, or they don't have the propensity to wait for that, or maybe their house isn't financeable. Maybe they inherited a house from grandma and it is beat up and it hasn't been renovated, and it's got old plug fuses, and it's just got stuff that needs to be fixed, right? You want to find, I don't want to say the needle in the haystacks, but you want to find the 5% of the market that can't or isn't going to sell to the retail side. And that's why we as real estate investors, we turn over rocks. And who am I marketing to today? You're turning over rocks constantly. And so the same prospect lists, I usually start with absentee owners. I start with vacant houses. I start with distance between the owner and the property out of state. I start with all sorts of things, and then I ask myself, am I solving a problem with a cash offer at a discount for speed, or am I solving a problem with a terms offer and payments over time? Fundamentally ask that question. Once you get into the conversation with a seller, don't have that plan, you don't need to know that going in, but you're gonna start to ask the why are you selling, and the direction you have to take this is gonna unfold. Okay. All right. Let's see.
Hey Rob, one more thing. Because we've been asked, what's the silver bullet? It gets asked in a lot of different ways. Honestly, I think it's a great question. When people ask it, I don't believe they're looking for an easy fix. They're just saying, hey, here's where I'm at. Here's where I want to get to go. Here's where I want to go. What's the shortest distance?
Yep.
Which is, I'd ask the same question.
Absolutely.
So I used to say there isn't a silver bullet. I don't answer it that way anymore. I just go right back to, here's the silver bullet: consistent marketing, follow up, talk to sellers, and make offers.
Right.
It works. Right. When you started, it worked 20, 25 years ago. It works today. It'll work 20 years from now.
That's right.
For sure.
That's right. The one caveat is when the market really did change in 2008, and the market crashed and foreclosures went rampant. The one change that we were able to do back then is we were able to go and buy bank-owned properties off the MLS. So in what is called the retail side of the market, listed properties with real estate agents, banks list their properties with real estate agents. And so when the market crashed and foreclosures flooded the market, or bank-owned REO properties flooded the market, we went from the off market to the on market, and we were able to pick deals off the MLS directly from banks. Okay. Today that doesn't exist. I mean, it does. You can still get them, but today we're in a more off market environment. You got to turn over rocks to find the opportunities. Okay. So all of that being said, Here's the common question that I then get. Okay, that's great. I know the 4 things that I got to do. What do you think the next question is?
Where do I start?
Where do I start? How do I do it? Okay, this question comes up, you know, from new subscribers, new users in FreedomSoft all the time. Okay, great. I get your blueprint. What do I do now? What do I do next? Okay, I'm brand new. I got my account. I can log in. Here's the first thing I tell you to do. Number 1, go do your basic general account setup. Log in, hover over your name, go to the account section, and fill out your profile. Fill out the account information inside your FreedomSoft account. Take you 2.5 minutes. Okay, start there. Do that basic little setup effort. Number 2, and this is where I think a lot of people make their mistakes. They're like, I don't know what to do. What's the number 1 thing you got to do to be successful as a real estate investor? It's number 4 on the list, but it's the number 1 thing you got to do. Make offers. So this is what I tell people to do. If you're learning from a coach, if you're learning from a training program, if you're learning from somebody that is teaching you real estate investing, take your paperwork, take the paperwork, the contract that you're going to use to make your purchase offer, the assignment of contract. Maybe you have a purchase contract and you have a sales contract if you want to wholesale a deal. Maybe, you know, you've got different paperwork if you're buying subject to or doing some kind of owner financing. Take your paperwork and upload it into FreedomSoft. That's the first thing I want you to do. Now, you can use system templates if you look at them and say this is relevant for my business and what we're doing. But I tell most people, because state by state is different, strategies are different, what you're learning and the gurus you're following are different. So take the contracts that you're using or learning or being taught to use and upload them into FreedomSoft. Okay, look at them in Word first. Make sure that, you know, they're blank space. Like, make sure that you got a blank contract that if you printed it out, you could fill it out with a pen, right? Take that blank contract, upload it into FreedomSoft. This is why I tell people to do this, because uploading that contract, your purchase agreement, what you're going to use to make the offer to a seller, is going to define what your seller leads dashboard looks like. Because in order to make making the offer really easy, you've got to fill out the contract, the paperwork correctly, right? So upload it into FreedomSoft in the template section, hover over your name, go to settings, go to templates, upload it into the documents section. Name it purchase agreement when I'm buying, or purchase agreement buying. Okay? You're gonna now go step by step through that contract and say, do the default fields in FreedomSoft populate this? And if you come across one that says, no, this isn't quite like the default fields, I'm filling out something that's slightly different, you go into the FreedomSoft custom fields on the seller dashboard, add a field. And so now that field is available to mail merge or populate right onto the contract. Okay, so you go fully through your contract, and depending on how big or complicated your contract is, this can take anywhere from 20 minutes or less to a couple of hours, right? If you have a 18-page contract and you've got a whole bunch of bullet points and check boxes and custom things to fill out and all sorts of stuff to do, to build that out, you might spend a couple hours doing it, okay? But setting aside that time and just doing the custom work for your business up front will save you hours later. So 2 hours invested today is going to pay back tens and dozens and hundreds of hours later. And so number one, take your paperwork, upload it into FreedomSoft. Number two, go through it line by line and let the fields that you have to fill out on your paperwork inform any customizations that you might make to the seller dashboard in FreedomSoft. Because on the dashboard, when you do your marketing, build your list, do your marketing, capture leads, and now you're on the dashboard, you're talking to the seller either through the mobile app, or you're talking to the seller right through the desktop on a headset. You're filling out the information on your seller intake form right there on the dashboard. Well, once that's all filled out, you can literally click the generate contract, generate document button, select your purchase agreement, and in a couple of clicks, your full contract is fully filled out. Okay, the number one rule to real estate investing is what? Make the offer. Make the offer. So making it simple for you to make the offer is the number one thing you can do when you're first getting started. Okay, so that's what I always tell people to do. Start with the thing, setting up the thing that is actually going to allow you to do the thing, make the offer, that is actually going to produce the result. Because if you're not making offers, you're not making money. Okay, so that's where I always tell people to start. Do your basic account setup. Number two, get your paperwork uploaded, and let that inform how you set up your seller dashboard by adding custom fields as necessary. The FreedomSoft's dashboard and contracts, it's fully customizable. So you can set it up exactly how you want it to set up. Now, from there, then I say, now let's get set up and prepared and ready to build a list, do marketing, and capture inbound leads. So the first thing I'll tell you to do after you do your basic account setup is go add a phone number to your FreedomSoft account. Because that phone number is what you're going to use on the marketing that you send out, the marketing you do. When somebody sees your marketing, you know, we buy houses as is and will close on the day of your choice, paying a fair price. When they see that message and they see the phone number, call Rob, phone number today. That number is what they're going to call. When they call that number, that's your FreedomSoft number. That's not your cell phone. That's your FreedomSoft phone number right inside your FreedomSoft account. They call that number. That phone number is linked to a campaign. Okay, it's linked to a campaign. So you do your marketing, you create a lead campaign to capture all the responses. Because that phone number in FreedomSoft is linked to the campaign, now all of those inbound leads are going to get captured right there. They're going to come in as new leads. New lead, new lead, new lead, new lead, new lead. What do you do? What do you do when those new leads come in? Well, you obviously did step one. Who am I marketing to today? Who am I following up with today? You're not going to follow up per se with a new lead. You're going to call them and do the initial reach out, right? And then you're going to manage your leads, your new leads, to status so that you do follow up and you start talking to people. And because you did the work when you first came in to set up your contracts and your dashboard, now it's super easy to fill out the contract and make the offer. Because what do? You fill out the contract, generate document, select it, click a couple buttons, and it fills it out and it attaches it right to the lead record. Then you click sign and it kicks that contract right into FreedomSoft's digital signing app. There's no importing, exporting, uploading, downloading with DocuSign or HelloSign or anything else. Click sign, takes it right into FreedomSoft's digital signing app, sends it out to the seller. When the seller signs it, it comes back and attaches it right to the lead record. You are now under contract. Making offers is the number one thing you have to do. And we have worked to make it simple. This is because 20 some years ago, I said, how am I going to make money? And I figured out that, and I didn't frame it like this. Mike framed it like this. I figured out I got to market to people. I got to follow up with people. I got to talk to people, and I got to make offers. And if I do those four things, I win. And so the software today is designed to do those four things simple. If you know to do them, then you can use the software to make it happen. If you don't know to do them, you stare at a software that's ready to run, but you're like, how do I drive this thing? Like, have you ever sat down in a new car and you're like, how do I turn it on? Like, have you ever looked around and said, how do I turn it on? Or have you ever sat down in a luxury or an exotic and said, how do I get this thing into first gear? Like, how do I shift it? Like, what do I do? Right? If you've ever sat down at a dashboard and said, usually there's a button or a key. How do I get this thing to turn on? Right? It's the same thing with FreedomSoft. You're sitting down in front of the dashboard of a thing that'll drive fast, and you're wondering where's the button to turn it on, right? We want to solve that with, you know that you gotta turn it on, you gotta put it in drive, you gotta push the gas pedal, and you gotta make it around the track, right? You gotta build your list and market to it. You got to follow up automatically. You got to talk to people by getting on the phone, and you got to make offers by setting up your account. Same thing. What questions do we got?
Or an offer question.
Okay, go for it.
From Mr. Thinker, do you ever send out a blind offer, meaning maybe you haven't got a response from a call or a text, but you've got the person's contact info? Or are you just going to fire an offer?
Yeah, we have. Absolutely. And sometimes it works. Here's what I'll tell you. It works a very small percentage of the time, but when it does work, it works. And if you've systematized and made really simple the ability to do that easily without having to go through a whole bunch, like if you have to fill out a purchase contract every time, stick it in an envelope, mail it, handwrite the address, you're never going to do it. Right? And it's probably not going to be worth your while or your effort. But if you can click a couple of buttons and make that happen, yeah, that's a no-brainer. And if you systematize the effort and the setup, you can hire a virtual assistant that'll come in and do that for very inexpensive. So you don't even have to be the one to do it. If you set up the system because you know what you want it to do, and you set it up inside of the framework of the tools that we've built, and then you design it for your business in the way that you want to operate, you can have somebody else do that, or the software can do a lot of it for you. So yeah, good question. What else we got?
I've got one in here from Rent to Own Blueprint, and it's a little bit open-ended. He says, Rob, as a new subscriber, how much should I expect to pay in skip tracing and FreedomSoft? And I think we can kind of expand that out to what would you expect to pay in marketing in general. I think that all depends on how much marketing you're trying to get out, how big is your team. And so I don't have a name here, but yep. I just want to talk to that person real quick. If you can give me a couple details and send it into support@freedomsoft.com and just say, hey, Mike, I got a question, and just tell me, how fast are you looking to ramp up? How many people on your team? I can reply to you this afternoon and get some.
And here's what I would also add to that. If the question is probably a budget question, meaning I don't have a lot of money that I want to put into the marketing. How can I best optimize this, right? What I always tell people to do, and I've done a lot of coaching with people. We've done a lot of stuff where we've done deal splits, and I always tell people, you've got to be willing to spend between $500 and $1,000 a month to grow your business and to get your business off the ground. So I would start there. So the question is, my answer is more of a general marketing question, which Mike kind of picked up on, than it is just how much in skip trace. And you can go skip trace 1,000 records in FreedomSoft for a couple $100. So a couple $100, it takes 1,000 prospects and gets you phone numbers and get you email addresses. And so what do you do with that then? Take those prospects, drop them into a click-to-call dialer campaign in FreedomSoft, jump on the phone every day. If you only have 30 minutes every day, jump on the phone for 30 minutes and work down your list of 1,000 prospects, right? If you take those skip-traced email addresses and upload them into Facebook and build a custom audience, and you start running ads on Facebook, driving them back to a web form and a FreedomSoft website, they're going to capture new inbound leads right back to your lead campaign. So there's a lot of things that you can do that are relatively inexpensive, and you can operate that on a daily budget of 5, 10, 15, 25 bucks a day, depending on how much money you want to spend. So there's very inexpensive things you can do. You can get rolling in lead generation for a couple $100 and give you 1,000 prospects to go work. And if you target the right list, the right starting point, 1,000 prospects, I will go out on a limb and I will almost guarantee you that I would close a deal out of 1,000 prospects, even in this market. I've done it so many times because I'm going to use all the arrows in my quiver and 1,000 prospects, and I'm not going to spend more than probably $500 to build that initial starting point. But here's what I'm going to do that most people won't. Why can I be pretty confident that I can do that? Because number one, I'm going to target a good list. I've already given you parameters that I would target. I would do exactly that. I'd pick a geography that I think is going to produce generally a lower price point geography where there's a lot of investors buying. And I'm going to get on the phone. I'm going to get on the phone and I'm going to go close a deal. And I'm going to stick a couple Benjamins in my hip pocket National Bank. That's how I'm going to do it. What else we got?
So we have one from Derek. He says, do you ever wholesale a deal in reverse? And he says, what I mean is where you have your pocket buyers and then go hunt for their criteria.
All the time.
He says, I personally haven't, but it seems like some do.
Yeah, all the time. I know. So I know what my criteria is. We've talked about this on our last sessions. What's your buy box? What is a deal? And what are you looking for? I've given my criteria almost every week. So I know exactly what I want as a buyer. Sometimes I get a deal that doesn't quite fit my criteria, but it fits somebody else's, right? And so I know what all of my buyers are looking for, and I'll just go launch a marketing campaign specific to find the deal that they want, because I know I got a buyer in my back pocket. That just adds nickels to the bank account. So absolutely. I go buy what I want for me, and then if it doesn't fit, I'll flip it to somebody else. But then as the team is available and as the effort is available, and I know I've got, here's what I always tell people. You need 3 to 5 buyers that are buying 2 to 3 deals a month to make a very, very good living. 3 to 5 buyers that are buying 2 to 3 deals a month to make a very, 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 very good living. That's all you need. You don't need tens of thousands of buyers on your buyers list. You need how many?
I mean, that's one if you have a good one.
You need 3 to 5 buyers that are buying 2 to 3 deals a month to make a really good living. If you have one, that might work, but you need 3 to 5 buying 2 to 3. Put those numbers in your head, 3 to 5, 2 to 3, and you're golden. Okay.
Hey, Trevor's got a question. Before that, Leonard just chimed in, which obviously, Leonard, I appreciate you saying this. We're all the FreedomSoft team here, but he says, I've been using the software for a year and the automation with the lead status drip campaigns work. I have a 4-man team. Now, here's what's key. And we make offers every day. Thank you for a great system. Rob, you taught me early on, you said, I can meet any investor anywhere, ask them 2 questions and know how they're doing.
Yep.
And you know the 2 questions.
Yep.
How many offers have you made in the last 7 days? How many have you made in the last 30 days?
Yep.
And based on those 2 questions, we can estimate with a lot of accuracy how their business is doing. So, Leonard, which we love hearing, he chimes in, 4-man team making offers every day. That's a beautiful thing. Trevor here has a question. What happens if I build the contract wrong?
What was the question? What happens if I build the contract wrong?
Yeah, like
Edit
during the
it.
initial.
Edit it. If you do it wrong, do it over.
Yeah, but like I don't even know what I'm looking for when I'm putting the contract together. What steps do I take during the setup to know that I have it ready to go when I make an offer?
We'll do exactly what I said. upload your contract, and go line by line. And if you bump into a blank spot that needs to get filled in, ask yourself, is this field already on the FreedomSoft dashboard, or do I need to add it as a custom field for my contract? Your contract guides your custom field dashboard setup.
And I think part 2 to that question, which kind of goes back to what we talked about last week, where we had knowledge, relationships, and action. On that middle one, relationships, if you personally, which you can't know everything in real estate investing, you personally don't know what the contract is, get your relationships in order and go find out who does and go talk to them and figure that out.
Yep.
Yeah, and Trev, just a simple 1, 2, 3 page real estate contract, even somebody that's never filled one out, you would have a great shot at filling it out really well the first time.
Okay.
A lot of times
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's seller, buyer, address, price. There are some nuances to them, but
Okay.
You're thinking of a 38-page real estate agent contract, right? And is that the question? You don't know how to fill out all of those legalese things?
Yeah, I'm just always weary around anything legal, and just afraid of getting into a deal and then there being some kind of a gotcha and it having a problem.
Yeah. So you control the contract. Mike's point, real simple, and you're not gonna have a gotcha.
Cool, appreciate it.
Yep. All right, guys. Well, we're about an hour, so I think we'll wrap it.
Don't forget the crypto question.
Oh yeah, that's right. The
man.
crypto question. Am I buying the dip? Of course.
Crypto dip. I thought that was for like tortilla chips.
Yeah. Of course I'm buying the dip. Yeah, because and look, I don't know. I could lose all my money in crypto, right? Maybe it all becomes illegal, and I lose all the money that I put into it. But I don't necessarily see that. El Salvador just made it their currency, like their governmental currency.
It's crazy.
So, and there's other countries.
First?
I think Paraguay. Is it Paraguay? I can't remember. There was a second one that's looking at doing it too. Anyway, so
Derek said nice. He said nice. That's what he said.
yeah. So you don't want me to go an hour on crypto?
That's another topic.
I'd sit here for another hour to listen to you talk about crypto.
All right, guys. Well, that's a wrap, and I hope you guys got a lot of value out of this. Just hit us in the comments if you did. Tell us what you liked. Let us know if you want us to keep doing these things, and we'll.
The recording. Someone asked if we were recording this,
and yeah, we do record these. So
FreedomSoft.com/live stream is where you want to go to catch the recordings of not only this week but every other live stream that we've done.
okay, sweet. All right, guys, that's a wrap.